An NGO organization has secured documents spurring from an internal affairs investigation, and it says that since the mid-90s, members of the Dothan, Alabama Police Department narcotics investigation have been planting drugs and weapons on young black men. The revelation came when a group of anonymous officers came forward, turning these documents and said, we cannot look the other way. It's really, really sad because there's another twist to this story that makes it even worse. The leadership of this group is suspected of being part of a neo-Confederate group, pretty much the KKK without a mask. And to know that this level of racism is ingrained in a police department, and for decades they have been protected by their superiors, and not only their superiors, but the district attorney, it's incredible.
It's despicable, and they have the proof. They secured these documents at an NGO in Canada. What does that say? That they don't even trust them in the U.S.? They're being handed over to DOJ as we speak, and you are absolutely right. So this goes back to 1996. John White was the chief of police in Dothan, Alabama at that time. He was receiving numerous complaints that young black men were having evidence planted on them to secure felony convictions, namely drugs and weapons. Not only that, he was targeting black men with clean records. They wanted to sully those records, and he not only ignored those complaints, but he instructed higher-up officers to do the same. So this goes back a very long time. It involves a lot of people, and as you mentioned, even the district attorney at that time, Doug Valeska, is also complicit in these allegations. They're saying he was involved too.
Incredible to see that the police that is supposed to serve and protect is just finding these young black Americans without no criminal record to frame them and secure convictions. Thousands of people. Now, the only upside to this story is the fact that these documents are going to be available to all of these wrongfully convicted persons so they can use them in their fight to get these convictions removed. Now, what's going to happen to prevent police departments of engaging in this behavior in the future? It's incredible to see that it can go undercover for almost 2 decades without anyone saying anything about it.
Well, Loretta Lynch of the DOJ is handling this now. It's going to the Civil Rights Division because these also constitutes, because they were targeting black men, it constitutes a hate crime along with being, all of those other issues going on. So transparency obviously is key to this, but let's just hope that they make an example out of all of these officers.
Against his colleagues, a former Philadelphia cop told the court about the extortions, robberies, drug deals, and other abuses perpetrated by 6 narcotics officers currently standing trial for a 6-year racketeering scheme.
The indictment charges officers Thomas Liccardello, Brian Reynolds, Michael Spicer, Perry Betts, Linwood Norman, and John Spicer with engaging in a racketeering conspiracy that included multiple acts of robbery, extortion, kidnapping, and drug dealing.
Ex-officer Jeffrey Walker admitted he began stealing from crime scenes as a junior patrolman. He worked with the 6 defendants until 2009, when he turned to alcohol following what he described as a messy divorce. He was arrested in 2013 after he broke into a jailed suspect's house in order to steal money and marijuana, only to find out the suspect had been an FBI informant and the whole operation was a sting. He is cooperating with the authorities in order to avoid a life sentence.
Since the mid-1990s, members of a narcotics investigation squad for the police department in Dothan, Alabama have been planting drugs and weapons on young black men with the approval of their superiors. One of whom is Andy Hughes, who currently serves as the state's assistant director of Homeland Security. At the time, he was a leader in a neo-Confederate group, and his supervisor, Stephen Parrish, was also a member of the group. Parrish was a lieutenant at the time, and he currently serves as the city's police chief. Documents have been released revealing corruption against young black men in the Dothan County Police Department, dating as far back as 1996.
Files. Just when you thought the police's main objective was to help, think again. New York police officers allegedly gave Brooklyn-based junkie Melanie Perez crack and forced her to perform lewd sex acts. This is part of the scandalous details coming from the trial of Jason Arbany, one of the 8 undercover NYPD cops that made up the Brooklyn South Narcotics Squad. Previous testimony revealed these cops allegedly planted drugs on innocent people in order to meet their quotas and in order to receive overtime compensation. And now the testimony of Ms. Perez alleges that she was lured to an officer's home where he gave her drugs and then demanded he be compensated through sex acts.
Well, first of all, there is no police brutality in America. We ended that back in the 60s. So I don't know where they're coming from. You look at the data and the research, and there's a new Harvard study out that shows that there is no racism in the hearts of police officers. They go about their daily duty, if you will, to keep communities safe. The President of the United States knows better. He's playing the race game. He's playing race politics. Shame on him. He's been very divisive for this country. He has been a nightmare, and I cannot wait until January of 2017 so that America's nightmare can be over.
Sincere ignorance.